Whether or not you follow all of the reading and programs from Wayward Studio, you've likely seen a variety of short and long reviews of works. What stood out in 2022? What were the best reads? Of the 95 major titles and 26,000 pages I read this past year, here are the best. Correspondences by Tim Ingold. In this collection of short essays, Ingold calls for a new model of thinking, one which demands we see how all of the world, ourselves included, have as our essences the relationships that have formed us, that mold us through different environments, and which will shape us moving forward. We are not static entities, and by rejecting sterile, object-centered theories and abstractions, we discover ways of knowing which have been too long closed off. While not every essay is equally successful as a demonstration of this type of thinking, the overall effect of the book is a transformative salutation to readers, inviting them to the conversation which has been born from the experience of reading. J. M. Coetzee and Paul Auster's Here and Now, Letters. And this one's quite unusual for me, since I'm not usually a fan of autobiography or memoir as such, but I love reading both Paul Auster and J. M. Coetzee, so this was an easy choice to explore. Here is an honest and transparent bearing of the friendship between these two men as they work through a wide variety of topics: war, history, sports, travel, time, aging, writing. I found myself looking forward to their musings each day and was growing anxious of ending the read. I love, however, how it ends, where the final letters leave them, and I closed the book feeling envious of what they have discovered and what they face. For fans of writing, for fans of either writer, for those just interested in a peek behind the scenes of what appears to us as celebrity, for a correspondence of relaxed and occasional mistaken musings, I strongly recommend. Saul Frampton's book, When I Am Playing with My Cat, How Do I Know She Is Not Playing with Me? Montaigne and Being in Touch with Life. Now, I read this in preparation for an upcoming podcast episode on Montaigne. Saul Frampton's reflections may be guesses at times, but his connections are themselves invited by Montaigne's essays. What we receive in this work is part biography, part introduction to Montaigne's works, part arrangement of these in terms of thematic ideas, health, travel, death, war, animals, influence, and part reflection on the impact of all on a devoted reader. In the end, it makes for a welcome read that draws an intimate look on this most powerful writer without feeling like an academic book. Here are some honorable mentions in nonfiction. Literature from the Axis of Evil, produced by Words Without Borders. Now, you may see reviews of this work which are not stellar, but Western and English readers should not search this book looking to satisfy their desires for great reads or works which imitate or emulate what we've grown accustomed to. Some of the readings here come across as dull or unfinished. So my 5 stars are both for the project itself, which cannot be overstated in its importance, but also for the writers themselves who, whether resident or cast about in some political diaspora, chose to write despite, chose to write because of, chose to write in defiance of, chose to write to process their experiences, their understanding of the worlds which too often have abandoned them from a broader global readership, just as our world has abandoned them, culturally and materially. Read this to engage those experiences, to discover viewpoints and styles which emerge from circumstances often unimaginable. And yes, read it for its literary power as well, from writers most of us have never before heard. I have only one criticism of this work as an initial project, which must be continued. It is not nearly enough. Adriana Cavarero's Horrorism, a contemplation of what lies at the heart of violence, not psychologically necessarily, but sociologically, linguistically, mythically. Why do we defend and rationalize our needless violence? Cavarero struggles to articulate the uniqueness of humanity through much of her feminist philosophy. Her word, horrorism, is an act of violence upon the uniqueness of the individual, with neither purpose nor interest in anything but paralysis. She draws powerfully from contemporary acts of war, terror, private horror, from the Medusa and Marquis de Sade to Hiroshima and Abu Ghraib. She demonstrates how great swaths of our language are structured around rationalizations for the perpetration of horror, whether from individuals or states. Cavareau demands a different framing for the behavior we have reasoned and worded out of existence: horrorism. Robert Macfarlane's Landmarks. This is in many ways an extraordinary work, and my single criticism may be that it seems such a niche merging of subjects: nature reflection, language philosophy, dictionary, author, and book feature might be the very thing which makes it difficult to approach, as it was for me at times. Even so, until we compel ourselves to re-see ourselves, to re-see nature, to language differently in order to compel our different relationships with the world, we might never comprehend better approaches to living with our planet. Macfarlane offers all of this in about 350 pages of what might have been 5,000, with a grace and linguistic dexterity which is a joyful, contemplative, personal, and poetic. It's difficult not to love what he's up to, not to envy his experience and vision, not to participate in it. Have ideas of your own, I should add? I'm not nearly done with this reading list. Drop a comment or a message.